talking about taking down flags, have I got a story for you. We have exposed and we have caught the so-called stand up to racism people in a ridiculous lie. Now, let me take you back to this article, which appeared in The National on the 9th of October this year. And it's related to the group who call themselves Stand Up to Racism, saying that they were out in Sighthill in Edinburgh, taking down flags. Now, the flags that were in Sighthill that they were taking down were Saltires and Lion Rampants. Now, most people wouldn't want to see those taken down, would they? So, Stand Up to Racism say that they were taking them down and that they were approached by the very person who put the flags up. And this person threatened them, saying, "I'll slit your throats." Scots anti-racism campaigners threatened while removing lamppost flags. Campaigners for Stand Up to Racism Edinburgh were attempting to remove Saltires and Lion Rampant flags from flag posts in Sighthill on October the 5th when they were approached by an individual. And there's the article there. And I'll just read one or 2 points before we take it down. It says in the first column there, it says, a spokesman for the group said, quote, "On October the 5th, Stand Up to Racism supporters attempted to remove Saltire and Lion Rampant flags on lampposts in Sighthill. If there was any doubt about the message these flags are intended to carry, it was dispelled by what happened next. An individual approached, threatening to slit our throats and stab us for interfering with my flags. This was right beside graffiti saying, 'Deport Muslims.' He then violently broke our equipment." Okay. So I'm looking at that and thinking, that's a serious accusation that they're making. Somebody was threatening basically to unalive them. It goes on, it says, a spokesperson for SUTR told the National that the police had been contacted during the incident. A spokesperson for SUTR, Stand Up to Racism, told the National that the police had been contacted during the incident. And this person goes on saying, quote, "We didn't want to confront this person. There were 5 of us and one of them. They repeatedly said, 'I'm a patriot. I hate you lefties.' It's pretty clear that they were coming from the far right, not as a normal person supporting independence." Close quote. Now, I read that and I've been graced in many ways with a fine ability to detect political propaganda, to be able to tell the difference between something that sounds like that could happen in reality and something that's absolute nonsense. And straight away, I thought to myself, if they were out indeed taking down Saltires and Lion Rampants, most people wouldn't want to see that. So they'd better have a good excuse why they're taking that down. So I thought to myself, I bet you they came up with that story, that lie. I bet you they fabricated that in order to justify their taking down these flags. Because they go into great depth here. They say it's pretty clear that they were coming from the far right, not as a normal person supporting independence. So they're making it clear that this person who objected to the flags was this far right violent nutter. And thereby they're defending the fact that they've taken down those flags because they were put up with in a very bad spirit and not by a Scottish patriot, but by this real mean, angry person. So I thought that that's just a lie. That's just a lie, certainly intended to justify them removing Saltires and Lion Rampants. Not even Union Jacks, Saltires and Lion Rampants. So I thought to myself, you know, this is my job. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, because if the police were contacted, the police will be able to fill me in on all of this. So we do have this excellent act in the United Kingdom, and it's called the Freedom of Information Request. I wrote to Police Scotland with the Freedom of Information Request, and I sent a copy to them of that article, and I took them through it. And I said that this appeared in the National, and that it concerns these people who claim that they were essentially violently approached, and that they contacted you about this. So please, I would request the following information. Were Police Scotland indeed contacted by these people, quote unquote, during the incident, as they claim, or perhaps after the incident? 2, did the police attend the scene of the incident at the time or at a later date? 3, if so, was anyone arrested on the scene or arrested at a later date for such a fray? Because believe me, if you were on the street and you phoned the police, you contacted them during this was happening, and you said there's somebody threatening to attack me with a knife, the police are going to make their way there as soon as possible. They're not going to say, oh, just deal with it, mate. They are, thankfully, in Edinburgh anyway, at this stage, they're still going to be there. So the police would be very interested. If this was going down, the police are going to be there. And if there's a policeman just happened to be there, he's going to make a note of it, and it's all going to be recorded. So I said, fourthly, what is the status of this incident? Is it going to court? And fifthly, is there a crime reference number for this incident? And if so, may I have it so that I can follow how this all ends up? Because they made a very serious accusation that somebody not only was threatening to attack them with a knife, but also they say broke our equipment. And that was another thing that made me think, it's like, what sort of equipment would they have? They'd have a set of aluminium ladders and a pair of snippers. Well, how do you break that? You would literally need an angle grinder if you wanted to break a set of aluminium ladders. Okay, so all of that, their story just did not add up at all. And so I sent this to the police, and under the Freedom of Information Act, they have to get back within 20 days. And lo and behold, yesterday, we got the response back. Now, let's put up that first one. This is the Freedom of Information response from Police Scotland. Our reference, that's their reference, Freedom of Information 25-3482. Now, it was responded to yesterday. It will go public on the official disclosure site on the 17th or the 18th of November, 7 days after they make the response, it goes live. So people will be able to check this for themselves. And what they've done there is they've gone through my letter. Your recent request for information is replicated below together with our response. Now, let's put up the second bit, which is the bottom of the article. Request for the following information. There are my 5 points, and there is their answer to whether Police Scotland were indeed contacted. Police Scotland tell us, quote, we have no record of this matter being reported to Police Scotland. The information sought is not held by Police Scotland, and Section 17 of the Act therefore applies. Now, Section 17 of the Act is simply, if they have no information about it, they can just use that as the reason why they're not expanding upon it at all, because they simply don't have any information. That's really all that Section 17 means. You just put that there if it's like, sorry, we have no information on this at all. Okay. So That was a lie. That was nothing but a lie. A spokesperson for Stand Up to Racism told the National that the police had been contacted during the incident. The police get back to us saying, quote, "We have no record of this matter being reported. The information sought is not held by us." And so my suspicions were entirely correct. These people just simply made it up, and they made it up in order to justify their removals of Saltires and Lion Rampants. And we have to understand, when we're dealing with those folk, they just lie. And most normal people won't understand that. Most normal people would be like, nobody's going to lie about something like that. You don't understand these folk. They just lie. They just lie, and they'll continue to lie. And I'm sure when that comes out and when this video gets further traction, they'll lie and they'll say, well, we did report it to the police, even though the police have got no knowledge of it. They'll still have some crazy excuse. But of course, if they did in fact report that, and it's been reported in a national newspaper, then you can bet your bottom dollar that the police would be interested, and they would have a record of this, and they would have something to say about it if indeed it did happen. But it didn't happen. It was just propaganda, constant propaganda. And the National should have done its due diligence, and the National should have contacted Police Scotland to find out what the state of that was, but the National didn't. So I've written a letter to the National, which might get in tomorrow's paper or maybe Friday's. I'm hopeful that they'll run it just for the controversy of it. And but basically a slam dunk to a force for good. We have exposed the Stand Up to Racism so-called liars. They've been caught in a lie. And as Alan Partridge would say, 1-0 to us.